Let's talk a little defense. Let's talk a little linebacker life. Let's talk about Aggie football with Sean Porter here on the hotline. Sean, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. How's it going?
Good, man. How you been?
I've been pretty good. Been pretty good, man. Just, working, living, raising these two young girls I got.
You've been traveling a little bit too, right?
Yeah, I travel a little bit, yeah.
Let's talk about this upcoming year after the failure of 2022. Your excitement level, considering all the pieces that are in place here, and hopefully a new identity.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that we got a lot of good pieces to the puzzle. We got Anaya Smith coming back. We got Evan Stewart over there at wideout. I love our quarterback. I love Wigman. The fire that he brings. I think he'll be a good piece for us. Defensively, I think that we got some potential over there, right? We got a bunch of good athletic defensive linemen. They should be able to get to the quarterback this year. We have some potential at linebacker. We got returning all conference player in Damani Richardson. So we should be all right. We should be able to make a little bit of noise.
Are there questions that A&M has to answer for you before you're all in, or have they done a good enough job at least peripherally answering those questions about whatever the defense or offense could look like?
Before I'm all in, I mean, we haven't answered any. When did they answer the questions? Last year?
No,
we haven't answered.
I'm saying that they answered questions, at least fixing issues, right? So they got Bobby Petrino because the play calling was an issue last year. So they answered that question. We'll have to see how it translates. Defensively, a second year of the system, and with hopefully an emphasis on stopping the run. I guess those are still out there.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I think we have a lot of potential, but I wouldn't say that any questions have been answered already for me. I'd like to see us put it on in the games, the real games.
So the rush defense was so disheartening to watch last year. What do you think the issue was, and how, I don't want to say easy of a fix is it, but potentially how fixable is it?
I couldn't pinpoint the issue, man, but I just know people were running all over the yard on us. That's fixable though. I mean, most of the time, whenever people are running on you like that, it's a schematic thing. It's like people are stepping to the wrong gaps, taking 3 steps the wrong way, linebacker wise, and things are just spitting to the secondary. So I think we can clean that up. I just think that it's probably a studying thing. It's probably in the meeting room, in the classroom type of thing. These guys just need to focus in a little bit, and it'll get cleaned up. Well, most of the time, when you see those big runs spitting through, though, from the linebacker's perspective, that's just mental errors.
I think that's an interesting point, Sean, because there's so much made about the youth, right, and the culture. But really, youth, you have to, like, I remember my freshman year in college, not even playing sports, right, just trying to learn how to study the right way. There's an adjustment to how to be a college football player. There's an adjustment to how to learn how to study. When you've been so athletic and so gifted your whole life, you never had to study on the field. You just kind of outworked people and outplayed people. That's not always the case when you're a freshman.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a huge adjustment coming from high school to a big university like A&M especially. Yeah, you have to learn how to play. You got to learn how to play a new game. It's a whole different game. It's just like going from college to the NFL. You got to learn how to play again, right? It's just stepping up with the big boys and being more detailed about your work and getting it done.
Sean, what was a bigger adjustment, high school to college or college to the pros?
I'd probably say college to the pros, but I see how high school to college is a really big jump as well. I would just say college to the pros because it's like college to the pros, you're going from playing with kids and, half the people on the field aren't going to be pro athletes, right? They're just people and they're going to go and get a normal job and live their life. You go from that to playing with like the monsters of the football world, the all conference players, it's like the super all-star team. So it's a bit different up there.
I agree with that. I will say in today's football, with the extra year of COVID and also the fact that younger players are playing more because of this new NIL and transfer world, I think that is something that, like, part of the problem we saw last year with A&M, you had 17 and 18-year-olds going against 23-year-old men.
Yes. Georgia, I joke with one of my coworkers all the time about how Georgia's playing, 23, 24, 25-year-old guys out there. Stetson Bennett was like 37 last year playing quarterback for him. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's tough for a 17, 18-year-old kid to get out there and play against those grown men,
Let's go back to some of the teams that you were on, maybe the ones that were special, maybe the ones that weren't. How early in the process was it apparent, all right, this team could be special? Like 2012, this team could be special. And then some seasons that weren't so special. How early could you tell, I don't know if we're going to be what we thought we'd be?
Well, my freshman year, I came in and I kind of knew it was coming, man. Like we were gonna get beat over the head all year, but it was just because we didn't have a complete team at that point, at that moment, you know. And then my next couple of years, it was kind of the same thing, just building it up, building it up. My junior year, we actually had a really, really good team. We really could have, you know, competed for anything we wanted to if we stayed a little bit more focused. We lost all those games by just 3 points and 1 point, and you know, we had a lot of real close losses. But definitely going into 2012, I definitely knew what was coming. Like I knew how good we were. I knew we were loaded on offense and on defense. I knew that we had this special couple of freshmen that the rest of the country didn't know that we had. So you know, so that matched up with just our experience as seniors. We had a huge senior class. My senior class was big. I think we broke a record. We started the most freshmen ever when we were freshmen. It was like 18 or 19 freshmen starting for us out there. And then by the time we were seniors, I think, I don't know, maybe 10 or 13 of us ended up going to the NFL. So that group was really strong. Added with a couple of very special players like Johnny and Mike, and you know, that strong offensive line who all of them went to the NFL too. We had a really, really loaded team, and it's just I think other people just didn't realize how loaded we were.
I want to go back to that 2011 season that you mentioned because it sounds somewhat similar, even though that team was much more successful than what we saw last year. But those one-score games and those games that you lost by 3-4 points, that was A&M season all last year with a bunch of young players. But then that next year, it all worked. Is that something that this team and these fans can point to? Like, look, sometimes it isn't that much of a difference from year one to year two, but the results are different.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can see, like I said, I thought we were very, very, very talented in 2011 as well. So before that season, I thought we were going to rip it up. You know, I thought we were going to run through the Big 12 that year. Sometimes the ball just doesn't roll your way. You know, as you know in football, it does take a little bit of luck to be on your side for all of these things to work out the right way, for us to go win the SEC championship, for us to go win a national championship. The ball's going to have to bounce our way once or twice in there. So it's just, I hope that we can get those lucky couple bounces that we didn't get last year. And I hope that these guys are a little bit more prepared and on their P's and Q's. And I hope that the coaches are prepared and on their P's and Q's. And we just get in here and do what we're supposed to be doing. Because here at A&M, I mean, we have all the resources. We have everything that you could, you know, humanly imagine that you would want as a college football player to be comfortable and to be put in the right position to succeed. So, you know, I think it's pretty much, we're looking for a national championship here at A&M.
Talking about Sean Porter here, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. You may have already kind of answered this, but where do you see A&M most vulnerable? Is it the thing that we keep bringing up, the stopping the run, or is it maybe some other areas?
I think it's stopping the run. I think that in order to be a good team, in order to be any type of good team, you have to run the ball and you have to stop the run. If you can't do one or the other, then it slows down everything else. Everything, you know, goes off of those big nasties up front. So the offensive line has to lead on the offensive side, and the defensive line has to lead on the defensive side. And both of those start with, you know, the run game.
A lot of people mention how Damani kind of plays the position like a linebacker, even though he's back there at safety. Just how important was it to get him back, his leadership, his physical traits, what he means to this program?
Extremely important. Very good player. Would have probably been a top 3 round draft pick. How he come out last year. So it's extremely important to have a leader like that back on the field and out there with his guys. If not only for his play, for the way that he leads and the way that he talks to those guys and encourages those guys and picks them up when they're down and makes things work out there. You need that piece that just kind of knows what's going on and has that feel for the game. And it helps everyone else out a lot.
He's linked with Anias because they both mean similar things to each side of the ball. Getting both of those guys back with something to prove. Both want to, enhance their draft status for sure, but also they don't want to leave Texas A&M as the 5-7 team. They want to leave it more like 2020. Right.
Yeah, I think those guys have a lot of potential. I think they got a chance to do it. I think Anias actually probably could play defense if he wanted to. So these kids are talented, man. Very talented these days.
Who do you think is the most important player on defense? Most important player on offense, I think most people point to whoever wins the quarterback spot, and you already mentioned your thoughts on Connor. But what about defensively? Who is there a guy, or is it more defense is more collection?
I mean, defense is a collection for the most part. the most important player on defense. Is going to be the one who makes the most plays and impacts his team the most, his teammates the most. One of my favorite players to watch last year on film or whenever I was, caught a couple games, it was number one, Bryce Anderson. I think he brings a lot to the table, man. Just like his energy and just the way that he comes up and hits and the way that he plays, the passion that he brings that I can just see on game film. I'm sure that they talk about him, around there where y'all are about him this way, but he just seems to be the type of player we need around here. He seems to be the type of player that the Aggies need on the field at all times, to me.
Sean, he's just now a sophomore. He was just a freshman last year with that impact, and he was the number one. The other number one, Evan Stewart. Both those guys can be the team leaders this year, entering just their second year.
Agreed. And I don't think that they should shy away from that. I think that that's a privilege, and that it takes the respect of your teammates to even be in the position to do that, right? So they've already got the respect of their teammates. They've earned it. They should step into that role and be happy and lead as they are.
I don't know if we've hit the limit on how many times I can ask people about the Johnny doc, because it's been a little bit over a week and that's been a topic, but you were there, you saw it, you had a front row seat to part of it. What did you think about the documentary?
I thought it was great. I'm glad that it wasn't, I actually thought it was going to be a little bit worse. I thought they'd go, they'd make it a little bit worse on a little hard, they'd be a little harder on him, but it was good, man. I liked it. He got to step out there and tell a story to the world. I feel like we've spent years kind of defending that a little bit and just kind of trying to keep it in-house, as our little family thing. But I think it's a beautiful thing that he got to tell that story to the world, and it's important. It was important for him to be able to do that. So, and especially for these kids now with the NIL and all that, it's like what Johnny was doing was a very minimal level, right? And what anyone was doing back then in 2012 in college football in regards to getting money and to, all the off the field stuff. It was very minimal compared to what these kids are doing today, right? So it was just kind of like a precursor to what should have been going on the whole time, which is that these athletes that are worth so much money for their universities and everyone, the whole ecosystem around them, they can benefit from it some type of way. Because Johnny, I mean, if you look at it, Johnny's worth a lot of money when he was in college, if we're being real.
What kind of teammate was he?
Great teammate. A great teammate, right? So I've known Johnny since we were in high school. I tell the story all the time, I think. I've known Johnny since we were in high school. We played against each other in high school. So kind of San Antonio area guys, both came to A&M. He kind of gravitated towards me when he got here because we're both San Antonio guys. So hung out a lot, just got to know him really well. He was a great teammate. It wasn't, nothing on the field, nothing, teammate wise was bad about him. This kid is outstanding, man. One of the best college football players that have ever lived. So, I mean, for anybody to say he was a bad teammate, they would be mistaken. He was a great teammate. I mean, everybody ain't going to lay it all out on the line for you, right? One player in particular that shows me how great of a teammate he is, something happened in the Ole Miss game, and those guys end up with the ball running back the other way, and he's on offense. He chases the guy down, strips him, takes the ball from him. The guy picks it back up, keeps running, he chases him down again, tackles him, makes a great play for us, And I don't think that play even actually counted, but just watching him do that showed me like, no, this kid isn't just out here trying to, throw 3 touchdowns a game. He's out here, he cares about this team. He cares about winning first and foremost. And that's what I always loved about Johnny is he's a winner. He's not concerned with all the other little things, all the, whatever else is going on around it. At the end of the day, all we're trying to do is win this game and get up out of here, right? So Johnny, he was good at keeping the main thing.
I don't think anybody could have predicted Johnny football, right? The level of his greatness. That being said, was there a point that summer where you're like, this guy's on a different level?
Man, the thing about it is Johnny football that didn't happen at Texas A&M, Right. He was already Johnny football. He was already a Texas high school legend, right? A legend. Like he was, people talked about him already as Johnny football. The same way they talk about him now, it's just on a bigger scale. So I knew already, I kind of, I'm looking at it like, okay, this kid lit up high school. That nobody could touch him in high school. Then he comes in and we're in spring ball and we're in camp and stuff. And he's tearing it up. It's like he's running, he's passing, he's efficient, he's loose. He's not like, you never want your quarterback to be like, I don't know if I can say that, but like tight-assed, like real, you don't want your quarterback to be that way. we have a very relaxed quarterback who's free flowing and everything just kind of works. Our receivers know that they can go off script a little bit and he'll work with them. So I think it was amazing playing with Johnny at quarterback, especially for the college game. I mean, he was a perfect quarterback for the college game.
He was so good that every quarterback from now on will be compared to Johnny here at Texas A&M. Is he Johnny-esque, right? And I think Connor, while a different game, has got a little of the same moxie, right?
Yeah, that's what I like about him. I like Connor. I like Connor a lot.
That is Sean Porter here on the hotline. Sean, you be coming to some games this year?
Yeah, I'll catch a couple. I come down at least 2-3 times a year.
All right, man. We'll get you in studio, hang out, and hope to see you soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Sean Porter there on the hotline.